Here.
Councillor Walker.
Here.
Councillor Barlow. Councillor McLaughlin.
Here. I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes of September 21st, 2015.
Second.
Councillor Enright.
Yes.
Councillor Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Barlow. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 1, old business. I see none. Going to item number 2, under new business, under authorization. Item number 1, the engineering department received a request from Mr. Bell, owner of commercial property at 155 West 5th Street, located in the 3rd Ward, for use of public space for 4 by 25 foot for an ADA ramp, together with a request for use of public space 17 feet by 50 feet for seasonal display between the sidewalk and property line. Going to hear the speak on that? Counselor? He's not here either. I believe this is the property across from the hospital on Jim Bell owns that property. Yeah, the gift shop. I don't see any problem with this.
I'll speak up.
All right, Miles, would you please speak on that?
Anything Jim Bell does should get the okay from this place, okay? He does a wonderful job. He did a good job on the flower place. And the place in the corner over there at Sylvan Glen, where he put that housing complex in there, he did a wonderful job on. I can't imagine anybody going against this kind of a deal. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Representative.
No problem.
We just- yeah.
Say something here, Fran. I live across the street.
Can we note that as acting 3rd Ward Councilor Miles Beck? If we could do that, I would appreciate it.
Should have been acting congressman.
I have no problem with this. Any comments from any of the counselors here on that? I'd second it.
Easy, Sue.
Councillor Enright.
Yes.
Councillor Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Barlow.
Yes.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
We have no other business. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Councillor Enright.
Yes.
Councillor Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Barlow.
Yes.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
I'd like to call to order the Planning and Development Committee. Will clerk please call the roll?
Councillor Barlow.
Here.
Councillor Walker.
Here.
Councillor Van Buren.
Here.
Any items to come before this committee under old business? Seeing none, moving on to new business, a discussion from our Community Development Director. The Community Development Office was awarded $300,000 through the New York State Office of Community Renewal's Community Development Block Grant Program. Justin?
Thank you very much. As you just said, the Community Development Office was awarded a $300,000 grant from New York State Office of Community Renewal. Specifically, the program is designed for provide financial assistance for first-time homebuyer. It's a first-time homebuyer program. So the office was just awarded that fund, and I'm in the process of preparing a notice of intent to request a release of funds to be able to draw down on that $300,000. And as part of that process is I need the City Council to pass a resolution verifying or certifying that, as you see in the communication, that the proposed activity, which is the Home Buyer Assistance Program, is categorically excluded from having to go through the NEPA and the SEQR process. And that's a standard exemption, and all I needed moving forward is a resolution from the council agreeing to that, and so that way I can actually apply for the release of funds for the $300,000 to jumpstart the program to start to provide assistance in the community. Right now, the program, since its inception, and had provided a financial assistance to over 100 home buyers, first-time home buyers in the city of Oswego, and the fund of $300,000, which a portion of that will be allocated towards administrative fees, will provide up to 12 families with assistance for the first-time home buyer, and that is part of the closing costs and buying down on some of the mortgage principal, which is very much a needed service and an opportunity that we have as a city to offer for people that qualify income-wise at 80% or below the area median income. And you'll see in the communication the income guidelines based on family size and the max income that you can collect. It ranges from a family size of one person, which max income is $38,400, to a family size of 8, which is a max income of $72,400, and that's at the 80% of the AMI, which would provide financial assistance to a lot of people already existing in our community. So I'm just looking for support from the council moving forward, and I'll prepare a resolution talking about the secret process and just have it go forward at next week's meeting to be approved. And I'm available for any questions regarding this specific grant.
Thanks, Justin. Any questions from the council? Public? Will clerk please call the roll?
They have a motion.
Yeah, me, sorry.
Counselor Barlow.
Yes.
Counselor Walker. Yes. Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Counselor Barlow. Yes. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes. At this time, I'd like to call the Administrative Services Committee to order. Please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Here.
Counselor Enright.
Here.
Counselor Capelitz.
Here.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Here.
Counselor Todd, absent.
A motion to approve the minutes of the October 5th, 2015 committee meeting?
Second.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Enright.
Yes.
Counselor Capelitz.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Is there any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, move on to new business. Item number 1, under authorization, Jeffrey McCovey, Fire Chief, is requesting permission to accept the following donations. $200 check from the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary to purchase life jackets for use as part of the Wear It program. 62 life jackets from Exelon Corporation for the Wear It program. 200 smoke detectors from Lowe's. Chief.
These are things that we've been going through like crazy this fall, and Dale Courier secured the Exelon donation for us, and I want to thank him for it. So hopefully we can move on with it.
Any questions or comments?
I think everybody must have seen in the paper recently where that one person, the fisherman up by the high dam, slipped and fell and was wearing a life jacket. Was rescued by a boater in there. Just to emphasize the importance of wearing a life jacket, especially up in that area in this time of the year. Chances of survival, I think, and something like that would be very slim. And that life jacket definitely saved that person's life. So.
To answer everybody's question, it was our own. We loaned out hundreds of them. Great story. It was our own, though. But we've given checked out hundreds of them, and everybody said, was it one you guys loaned out? It wasn't, but she was very lucky, even the people with her. One guy said, I was never crazy about that law, but he said, now I understand it. So, and I want to thank everybody it's been a long time and a lot of headaches going through the whole thing, but that whole deal that day was way worth it. It was nice.
Any other questions or comments?
Chief, just a question, the 200 smoke detectors that you're receiving from Lowe's, will there be a qualification for homeowners to receive those?
Yep, we get a lot of requests for them. We carry some on the engine companies in case we go to a call where there's a malfunctioning one, even if it's a rental unit or whatever, and we put those in because we don't want to leave anybody unprotected with it. But yeah, we have people all the time that will call, and we get donations for batteries and stuff like that too, so anybody that's really in need of one can give us a call.
Any other questions or comments? Motion.
Second.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Enright.
Yes.
Counselor Capelitz.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 2, Jeffrey McCovey, Fire Chief, is requesting permission to send 2 personnel to the First Line Supervisory Training Program in Fort Totten, New York.
This is a state-mandated training for any new supervisory personnel. It's good that it's January and early February before the vacation list gets kind of filled up, so works out well.
Any questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Enright.
Yes.
Counselor Capelitz.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 3, Rita Tickle, Personnel Director, requests authorization for Mayor Thomas Gillen to sign a one-year extension of the agreement with Mass Mutual, City of Oswego's deferred compensation. Rita.
Mr. Chairman, we've been with the Hartford Life, which is now, has been taken over by Mass Mutual for several years since its inception in 1986. We have to renew every 5 years. Last year, we took a one-year extension. There is an opportunity for another extension, which will save us the RFP process. It's the same, so I would recommend doing it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Enright.
Yes.
Counselor Capelitz.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 4, Michael Smith, DPW Commissioner, requests authorization to be granted to Deborah Code, City Chamberlain, to execute a budget amendment in the amount of $9,073.65 to be transferred into account G8120.440 to cover the expenses incurred from the emergency work order of June 14th, 2015, sewer main repair at East 10th Street and Albany Street. Commissioner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we needed to hire a contractor to take care of that work, and this is the funding for that expense. We're more than satisfied with the job that was done, and we're just getting ready to pay the bill now.
Any questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Enright.
Yes.
Counselor Capelitz.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 5 is an add-on. City Attorney is requesting the discussion of a proposed amendment to Section 126-11 and Section 126-13 regarding the issuance and renewal of building permits in emergency situations. Okay.
Thank you. There has been an issue arisen regarding a property that is delinquent in taxes and other monies owed, yet the work that needs to be done is structural work that is requiring, it's a danger. So, and the owner is willing to do the work, but is unable to make all of the, pay up all the taxes. So we're trying to work out an agreement now with the owner, but in the meantime, the Assistant City Attorney, Tom Reynolds, who drafted the original local law, has drafted this proposed amendment that says that in the event of an emergency or an unsafe or dangerous situation, the Department of Code Enforcement may issue a building permit, or in another area may renew a building permit. The prohibition of Section 126-11G notwithstanding, in the event that the Department of Code Enforcement deems the issuance of a permit and the work to be performed pursuant thereto to be necessary to protect the public health and safety. So basically, it gives permits an escape valve in the event that work needs to be done for safety reasons or public health reasons, and it would allow the Code Enforcement Office to issue a permit for that work to be done despite the fact that the owner of the property owes money to the city. So that is presented to you for your discussion and consideration.
Any questions or comments?
Counselor, would this be permission granted for a work permit be limited to whatever work was necessary to make the building safe? Is that in there? Because otherwise, you can issue a building permit and then, you know, there it goes. Someone can just go ahead and do whatever work's necessary without paying their taxes. I think some language ought to be in there where it restricts them to only performing whatever work is necessary to shore the building up and make it safe.
Councilor, I think the language is there. It says the issuance of a permit and the work to be performed pursuant thereto to be necessary to protect public health and safety. So code enforcement should only issue under this a building permit necessary to do the work that's, or I mean to the extent that's necessary to do the work to protect public health and safety.
You know, I've been mulling this over my head, and, you know, if the need for the work is because of willful negligence on the part of the owner, that willful negligence, in my mind, is really why you're behind on your taxes, too. You've been willfully negligent there. And we're kind of reinforcing bad behavior. And I understand the dilemma we have here with public safety, but there's a fine line here between somebody who has willfully neglected their building, and now it's an emergency repair, but they've also willfully neglected their taxes. And I'm not quite sure how you sort all that out, but I think we're reinforcing bad behavior.
Well, that may be the case, but I don't think that the code enforcement department is going to be able to make that distinction if somebody is asking for a building permit and it's been determined that it's a structural issue that could endanger public health and safety. Unless there's very well-defined criteria for making that determination, the code enforcement people are not going to be able to determine if it was willful on the part of the owner by letting water get into their building or whatever, or not, just something that was up to the elements. I don't think that they're going to be able to do that.
And I understand that, and I just don't want to set ourselves up for some behaviors down the road or opportunities to circumvent what I think is a good law, something that, you know, creates a level playing field for all of us. And it's just, and I get it, I understand that, but and I'm bringing out as just simply a point of discussion, just to, you know, keep that in mind.
Any other questions or comments?
Sounds like it's going to be very, very case specific. If it's somebody who's just old and the porch fell in and you're just trying to keep it up and you can't quite keep up with it, or somebody who's just lost their job and I mean, it's going to be very, other than a slumlord, say, I think it's going to be very, very case specific. I don't know who this individual is, but there are always circumstances and sometimes life is messy.
Nelson?
Well, if I may, and that kind of brings up just another thought, the separation between if it's a residence versus a commercial business. I mean, that's another separation there between the two, and I understand what Dean said about it, and it's ultimately that, you know, that's not local negligence.
Could be.
What they can within their means. Commercial business, that's another story.
Well, you're going to have to define, if you want to have those kind of limitations in here, you're going to have to say that it's only for residences and not for commercial businesses. You're going to have to say that it's only for elderly people or for people who've lost their jobs, because everybody's going to come in with some kind of an excuse. And the people that have to issue these permits are not going to be able to make those kinds of distinctions. So, I mean, you can just say we don't want to make any exceptions at all and not pass the amendment. On the other hand, you can have a structural defect that poses danger to the public pursuant to our code people, and it could be a commercial or a residential property. And in fact, for practical purposes, it's probably more dangerous to the public if it's a commercial property.
So I hear what you're saying. I would say that I'm just leaning toward we make the change that we move to make the amendment, because I think in our law we need to have some understanding for those emergency situations. But I would say that every one of those where we do that, there should be some sort of a report or otherwise from that council so that you or we know in fact
Well, the amendment to the local law could be written that only the council has the authority to make this distinction, but I'm not sure that you want to have to deal with that.
I agree with Councilor Capelitz on this, that, you know, at some point in time, you got to ask yourself, how much do we want to subsidize the commercial or residential issues that are going on with repairing the building. If there's an emergency repair to be done, obviously they have to have money to do the repair, so we're not going to pay our taxes so I can get my business back going. I mean, it's kind of like, what do you want to do, putting the horse before the cart, or what on this? I think that the intent was to, you know, before any service would be granted, was to have your taxes paid. So I think that at minimum would be the council be involved in making that decision. If it comes up to emergency repair, the building's going to fall in, or if somebody just purchased the building and taxes weren't paid up, it has to make an emergency repair. I think that's kind of a decision I'd like that the council should be involved in. Or the mayor.
Go ahead.
And we have certain cases where we issue an order to remedy. That it's like a piece of junk house in your neighborhood. If we do an order to remedy and they're not able to pull the permit to fix it up, you're probably going to be sitting on that house for a couple of years. I'm not trying to complicate it, but it'll just sit there, and if they can't get a permit to do the work because they don't have their taxes paid, it's probably not going anywhere.
Justin?
I just have a question regarding the building permit itself. In order to do the emergency repairs or whatever, my understanding that once you issue it, there's no way to distinguish on a building permit the different types of scopes of work that are allowed on the building permit, such as emergency repairs. So if you issue a building permit, it's not defining what that type of work is. So unless there's a way to define that, I don't know how you're going to be able to address it just to health and safety work.
Not so.
Just to touch on that, we're really talking about a building permit issued in emergency situations generated by the code enforcement department. So when they're going to deem something structurally unsafe and generate this type of situation, that would be where it's coming. So if somebody came to us to apply for a building permit for an emergency situation, that's where this criteria would come in. I disagree with Councilor Capelitz on painting this with too fine a brush. I think you actually create more ambiguity if you try and cover all your bases with language. I think you have a better chance of negotiating and allowing some discretion from the city attorney, the building code enforcement office. When you have a law kind of crafted like this where you can make some comments to see what the situation is. In this situation in particular, we're working out a deal with him, and we're seeing tens of thousands of dollars being paid into city coffers for back taxes and agreements being made for them to continue to pay the rest. To me, I think that covers the spirit of what the law originally intended, was to create money coming into the city from delinquent tax properties, as well as them getting the work that they need done. I think that captures what we were trying to accomplish, while at the same time making sure that we're still enforcing the laws. Bruce?
I was thinking that when you apply for a building permit, if I apply for a building permit, I have to state the work that I'm going to do. So I don't see where there's a problem with that. The only thing would be, if it is an emergency, you state what you're trying to do. You've got a cease remedy order from the code enforcement, and you put all of that into your application for a building permit, then you can cite on that whether it's routine or urgent or emergency. Then you would be limited to just what is in that permit, because then your zoning enforcement will come back and look at that to see that you've done what you permit to call for. So I don't see where you got a problem with that, defining what will be done under that permit.
want to talk about something a little bit different than the building permit. In terms of what you were just describing regarding this particular case, I mean, I think there need to be an elaboration or a discussion about the actual local law in terms of what is the responsibility of the party to pay the back taxes and who is responsible, because in this case, this person owned a couple of different LLCs and different entities. Does that person within that one entity need to be current, or is it all the entities regarding where that person is the principal owner of that? And I think there need to be a distinction between that, because if you make it with all of them, I mean, could be very difficult to even have a fighting chance to try to do what's right. So I think there need to be some discussion and elaboration.
Sure. So for this specific instance, because this person does own several different LLCs, has different names, we're keeping it contained to the property itself that's affected. So the building permit is only allowed to that property, and whatever LLCs, business names, whoever's in title is being held. So those agreements still have to go through the treasurer's office of the county as well as the chamber. There aren't just handshake agreements that are made. So we are, for this purpose, because of an emergency, keeping it pertained to the structure in question. If you want to seek a building permit for his other structure, whole other ballgame, whole other set of resubmitting all of your applications to show that you are now paid for the building permit. So for these emergency situations, we're looking at the emergency case by case. So this would be that structure, those LLCs, that. Okay.
However,
Go ahead, Gary.
let me just yell. However, the law as it stands is, thank you. The law as it stands is it covers all properties owned by the individual. So the individual could be delinquent in taxes on numerous properties, all of which would prohibit the issuance of a building permit at this time.
Correct.
I guess all I would ask that is that when those are granted, that the mayor and the council be made aware of each case where they're granted, so that we have some sort of working knowledge of when and where the discretion is. And if it becomes a nuisance, you're in a position then the council and the mayor take appropriate steps. So I think there should be a notification clause that requires notification to the mayor and council.
Counselor, do you want that to be written? I'm sorry, I didn't have the floor, but do you want that to be written into the proposed amendment?
I think it would be appropriate.
Okay.
But that would be nice. We've got other councils here and like that.
I'm fine with adding some type of language like that. I'm fine with designating a schedule. I think I find that most of the time these type of situations come up, councils become made aware of them, jump into the point where it's too soon, negotiations in the middle of happening. Had that happen recently with another agreement that we're working on. I'm fine with being a part of those. If you guys want to put in a notification time frame.
I think it's a good idea. I think having the oversight and emergency situation is a good thing in this case. I don't believe it's going to happen that often, so that's why I feel that it's appropriate.
That's what you think is right. Agree. Exactly what will happen. So,
I was notified within 30 days after the special, after the permit has been issued.
Okay, so I guess that's my question. At what point do you want to be a part of the discussion? Because so you want to be after it's already done, not during.
I think it's the council or the board of council that be involved in that discussion, getting it up to the point where you're after the board. As long as the permit is granted, I think at that point, and don't use that process to hold it up and try to get the work done. But I think it's a courtesy to the council and the mayor to know that whether or not this is working, we should.
So I guess for section 11 then, we'll add 30 days.
I can add that to the proposed amendment to the local law, that I'll put in the wording, but anyway, that the mayor and the common council would be given a notification within 30 days after any permit has been issued under this provision.
We put some similar language, I guess, for the renewal as well.
Yeah, it would have to be under both of them. Just so you are aware, the case in question right now is a resolution of this, which hasn't been resolved yet, but it involves entering into agreements for paying these taxes. This does not. It just says that they would be allowed to get the permit to do that structural work. Doesn't get into agreements for the taxes or anything like that. So it is different.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I don't think that anybody that's trying to make an improvement on their building is willfully not paying their taxes. You know, a lot of our lower income housing community is not working on any profit margin at this point. And when they have to do it for a permit, there is another one. Unless you want to end up owning a lot in the buildings, you have to expedite these permits to let people get their work done so they can run their buildings and have the buildings in good condition and a safe manner. If you're not paying your taxes, you're certainly paying interest on them. If the building is sold, the taxes are paid. If you're keeping the building, the taxes are paid. It's not that we're trying to avoid the taxes, it's what we're financially. And every time they wait another month to get something done, it costs them more and more in the whole. The other point is, I believe a while back you guys passed a law that in an emergency situation, you can go in and do what needs to be done to correct it. Ownership. And once we reduce the gander, I think we've got to make a way to make emergencies today. If they apply for a permit, inspect them afterwards to make sure it's okay, you know, get some kind of notice on it. But there's other situations where people are renegotiating their mortgages and their taxes are held in an escrow account by the bank. When this is going on, the taxes aren't being paid. Until it's settled, then the taxes are paid. But in the meantime, they can't do emergency work that needs to be done. So how it works in the real world isn't necessarily going to work out for everybody all the time. You have to make allowances for situations.
Any other questions or comments?
As far as city property goes, we can go in there, we can do inspections. We don't know, city doesn't know taxes on city property. And the other note, when pieces of property are being closed upon, they aren't owned by that individual, therefore they wouldn't go in there and do repairs on something they don't own. So this situation is not what we're talking about. This is a different type of situation. I feel that what we're doing right here, I think, kind of streamlines it, and it will be very effective. Okay, Councilor, I'm done. I'll move it.
Second.
Councilor Van Buren.
You're not ready?
You're moving the amendment as amended.
Councilor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councilor Enright.
Yes.
Councilor Capelitz. Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes.
All right. Before we move into executive session, is there any other business to come before this committee? Seeing none, I have two motions to move into executive session. One, number 6, the medical, financial, or credit or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. And number 4, discussion regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation, specifically East Side wastewater treatment. Any questions or comments?
Second.
Councilor Enright. Councilor Capelitz. Councilor McLaughlin.
Sure can. Everybody's here. Any other business to come before the committee? No? Any motion to adjourn? Sure can. All right. Everybody in favor? Yep. Fantastic. Thanks, Aaron. You win.
Thank you.